Okay. I'll put that down. We're going to talk about the unit circle now again. You ready? Here we go. This is called the unit circle. The unit circle has an equation. X squared plus y squared equals 1. That's because the center is 0, 0, which is right here, and the radius is equal to 1. So just like we're starting off our unit circle, you have a unit circle in your note sheet we started doing. We should note right here is 0 degrees. This point right here is the cosine of 0 and the sine of 0. I'll write it here so you can see it. That's 1 and that's 0. We did this the other day. The tangent of 0 is simply the sine of 0 over the cosine of 0, which is 0 over 1. So the tangent of 0 equals 0. That's a 0. So that's what they're saying. So you got the cosine, the sine, and the tangent. Now, if we go up, this is 90 degrees right here, because we go by the circle, we count by 90. We go each quadrant. This is quadrant 1. So 0 to 90 is quadrant 1. 90 plus 90 gives me 180. This is quadrant 2. 180 plus 90 is 270. This is quadrant 3. 270 plus 90 is 360. This is quadrant 4. So whenever you look at a unit circle on a graph, it goes quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and then quadrant 4. That's called counterclockwise. The rotation, which I'm going to use an arrow here, and I'm going to say counterclockwise. That's a positive rotation. The plus means positive. So that's what you're doing there. You're doing a positive rotation. Isn't that sweet? Now, just like I told you, we had a radius of 1 here. So we come up to the top, and this point right here is the cosine of 90 and the sine of 90. This is 0 and this is 1. The tangent of 90 is the sine of 90 over the cosine of 90. The cosine of 90 is 1. The cosine of 90 is 0. That means it's undefined. So the tangent is undefined here, UDF. That means there's no answer. It's undefined. So again, we got a radius 1. That's 1, 0. Radius 1 from the center is 0, 1. We're going to come over here to 180 now. That ordered pair there has to be negative 1, comma 0. I should have put the 180 right here, by the way. Oops. This should be negative 1, comma 0. That was my ordered pair didn't show. I put a hole there. That's why. Got messed up there. Got to stay inside the circle there. So negative 1, 0. That's called the cosine of 180 and the sine of 180. The tangent of 180 is the sine of 180 over the cosine of 180. That's 0 over 1, or 0. So the tangent of 180 is 0. Now we're going to come down here and add 90 more and get over to 270. And again, we're on a unit circle here. The y and the x, or the x and the y. This is cosine 270, sine 270. This is 0, and this is negative 1. Because y is 0 there. Or, excuse me, x is 0. Yeah, x is 0 here, y is negative 1 here on the y-axis. Then finally, you have to do the tangent. The tangent of 270, that's called the sine of 270 over the cosine of 270, which is, again, negative 1 over 0, which is undefined, because you can't divide by 0. I write UDF. So what we're doing today is we're labeling the whole circle now. Now I'm going to do something for you like I did the other day. The other day we did a 30-degree angle. We did the 45-degree angle. And we did the 60-degree angle. The cosine of 30 and the sine of 30. Now if you don't know what's going on, you just open your little book notes sheet right here, and then you can write down what the cosine of 30 and the sine of 30 is. That's root 3 over 2, and that's a half. The tangent of 30, right there, root 3 over 3. So I'm just going to put it outside here. That's a 3. Okay, so what I'm doing now is just filling in the chart. I'm going to go using the stuff I showed you from section 9.1. We got the cosine's root 3 over 2, which is x. Sine of sine of 30 is 1/2, which is y. The tangent of 30 is root 3 over 3. That's y over x. We're going to the 45 now. Cosine of 45 is root 2 over 2. Sine of 45 is root 2 over 2. So I got root 2 over 2 here. Root 2 over 2 here. And the tangent of 45 is 1. Right there. On to the 60. Cosine of 60 is 1/2. Sine of 60 is root 3 over 2. Tangent of 60 is root 3. So we get 1/2 for the cosine, root 3 over 2 for the sine of 60, and the tangent of 60 is root 3. Now, I just refreshed your memory. This is called quadrant 1. In quadrant 1, both x and y, both cosine and sine, are positive. So you get plus plus in this quadrant. Now you got to know this stuff right here, so I'm going to highlight this in yellow. The cosine and the sine are a positive in the first quadrant. That's what you need to know. Now I'm going to show you what 30-degree angles are. If I take my ruler, you see this line right here? And I'm going to stretch it out like that. So what I'm doing is I'm going from the first quadrant right there to this line right there. I'm going to put my ruler there, and I'm going to use a different color now. I'm going to use orange. So you can see this will look pretty when I'm all done. See that line right there? I'm going to do the same thing the opposite way. See this 30 degrees right there? This is 30 degrees right here. So what I'm going to do is end to end outside the lines there and do the same thing here. Look at that. And I'm going to show you some triangles now. You see, if I take my ruler here and I connect these, I get right triangles. So right here, I go from end to end there, and end to end here. Look at that. Looks like a bow tie. It's orange. Now you might ask why I did that. This is very important. So watch what I do now. See that root 3 over 2 1/2? If I follow my line, follow my finger, I'm going to write the same thing right here. This is going to be root 3 over 2 1/2. See that right there? Root 3 over 2 1/2. That says root 3 over 3. That's for the sine, cosine, and tangent. See this angle here? This is 30 degrees. That's right there is 30 degrees as well. But that's 180 plus 30, so this is 210. So this angle here was 30. This angle right here is also 30, but 180 plus 30 gives you 210. That's the cosine of 210 and the sine of 210 and the tangent of 210. Well, we got a problem. Remember I told you cosine and sine are positive here? Well, we're in the second quadrant. This is the third quadrant. The cosine and the sine are both negative here. They're negative and negative. So I'm going to show you in red that that is negative and that is negative. So the cosine of 210 is negative root 3 over 2. The sine of 210 is negative 1/2. The tangent is sine 210 over cosine 210. Since they're both negative, the tangent is positive. So this is what you need to know. In the third quadrant, the tan's positive. It'll make sense as we do more of these. Now, just like I said, this is 30 over here. This is 30 over here. This is 30 right here. That orange line, that's 30 degrees. If I take 180 minus 30, I'm at 150 degrees. So that's 150. Now, the ordered pair, root 3 over 2 1/2, that is the same here as well. Root 3 over 2 1/2. And the tangent's root 3 over 3. This is the second quadrant. On a graph from 0, 0, x is negative, y is positive. So if I put it over here, I put a negative for the cosine of 150. For the sine of 150, we know it's positive. When you take the tangent of 150, that's sine over cosine. Positive over negative is negative. So there's the cosine of 150, negative root 3 over 2. Sine of 150 is 1/2. Tangent of 150 is negative root 3 over 3. And we're almost done with all the 30-degree angles. Here's one more, 30 degrees. This is in the fourth quadrant. We have the same ordered pairs, root 3 over 2, 1/2, and root 3 over 3. See that? But 360 minus 30 is 330. So we're finding that angle because we know it's 30. We take 360 minus the 30. Over here, we had to take 180 plus 30 to get down here. But because we know the circle goes between 0 and 360, we know it has to be smaller, so we have to subtract here. That gives us the following formulas. This is 180 minus theta. I better do this in red. To find the angle here, you're doing 180 minus theta. To find the angle in this quadrant, it's 180 plus theta. And to find the angle in this quadrant, it's 360 minus theta. Now the theta is always the angle that's called a reference angle, which is 0 to 90. So what they're saying in this quadrant, this is a 30-degree reference angle. 150 is a 30-degree reference angle. 210 is a 30-degree reference angle. And 330 is a 30-degree reference angle. That's what they're showing you, because they have the same signs. One last thing, when I do the cosine in this quadrant, which is x, cosine is positive. So the cosine's positive here.